If I had a nickel for every horror movie starring a main cast member of Euphoria released this year, I'd have 3 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird that it happened thrice. This episode, we talk about Cuckoo, a new limited release horror movie out now in theaters, written and directed by Tilman Singer. Stay tuned, whores. Is this a metal thing?
Yes. A little taste.
David, what is this?
It's pretty thick.
Great.
I have to kill a lot of people. Just tell me what you want me to fuck.
I have big tits and a tiny vagina.
Oil me up, daddy.
I can't believe that Bryce prefers big tits. Mistletoe alert. This is backcountry.
This guy was a real jerk.
How long can Hugo be pregnant?
Chomp, 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 chomp.
Oh, you're such a dick, David.
Okay, everybody, put on your corpse handling gloves.
Ew.
Hoodie Picasso. Horror.
Hello, and welcome to Horror Movie Talk. I'm Bryce Hanson, Hanson, if you're nasty. And with me is Sydney, who has a handful of goo for some reason, and Max, the boy. Every week we review a single horror movie. New theatrical releases always get priority, but we also review older horror movies, both good and horrible. Please make sure you rate, review, and subscribe on iTunes. Full video available on YouTube. Don't be a square. Be sure to share. Honestly, one of the best things you can do is rate us on iTunes. I really appreciate the recent reviews that have come up, except for the 1 star that we got that accused us of being leftist cucks, which is, apropos for the Cuckoo.
And you know what?
Episode.
Since you brought that up, I think it's finally time we fully endorse Trump on the pod.
Right. We just, we want to make America great again. So also check out our Patreon at patreon.com/horror movie talk. It's the equivalent of the adult section at your video rental store. And if you want to call and leave us a voicemail, call 682-253-4468. And maybe you'll hear your voice on a future episode like this one. We got a great show today. We'll be reviewing Cuckoo. Start out by giving a brief review and our score for the film. We score on a scale of 1 to 10. If you don't know how that works, then you are retired. And
get a calculator.
After we give our score, we'll get into spoilers and take a deeper dive into what we liked and hated about the film. Later on, we're going to be checking our voicemail in a segment we call Horror Movie Whores.
Woo. Bryce, who is the third Euphoria star that starred in it? I can think of, what's her name, Hunter?
There's Sydney Sweeney. There's Hunter.
I forgot about
Sydney Sweeney too when I first saw that. That was the one I forgot about because I remembered Angus Cloud. And obviously,
wow, I thought you would have forgotten Angus Cloud. Sydney Sweeney was the lead.
Yeah, I can't believe that Sydney Sweeney. I forgot that she showed us all how bad of an actress she was in that movie. Like, she finally revealed herself to be a horrible actress.
I think that was our most controversial episode. I don't know how you could forget about it.
I know.
Was she considered a good actress before that?
I was
think she's a good actress. Come on.
I don't know. I mean, is she? That's like definitely one of those where you can use it as a case study for like the iPhone face. It's like that person does not exist in the. Or wait, did we ever land on when the time frame of that movie was supposed to be?
They never said it.
Yeah.
But there was indeed an iPhone, even though everyone was dressed like they're from the 1800s.
I like this movie.
All right. Anyways, Cuckoo can be found in theaters now. It's in limited release, so it might be a little far from you.
I had to drive 30 minutes. 30 minutes to see this, and I was late.
How far was it from you, Max?
Down the street.
Oh.
Yeah, I just had this one. Oddity didn't appear, but this one did.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Okay, well, in this riveting thriller, the government is overthrown by men who enjoy watching their wives get fucked by other men. Oh, wait, that's Cuckoo.
Not far off from some of the beats in this movie.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. In this Wilford Brimley vehicle, a group of trespassing seniors swim in a pool containing alien pods and find themselves energized with youthful vigor.
Bryce,
Nothing?
what are you talking about?
Okay, no, that's the plot of Cocoon.
I don't know these movies.
Guys have never seen Cocoon? No. All right, maybe that's a little
Let's
too
just review Cuckoo.
millennial niche.
Cuckoo.
No, let's review the new horror movie called Cuckoo. No, this movie is about an American girl dragged along to a resort in the Bavarian Alps. Something seems off about the way that random guests barf all the time, and how time loops back on itself for some reason. I mean, it could drive a person cuckoo. Oh, God.
Let's make that joke 5 more times by the time the episode is over.
This one has a lot going for it. Has, in the best way, it feels like an episode of The X-Files. It's hard to guess where it's going. It's really twisty-turny. I mean, they usually do twisty-turny, but this one's really twisty-turny.
Yes.
Hunter Schafer plays the protagonist, Gretchen, the moody teen overcoming a recent tragedy. And she does really well in this. Her performance is helped with some of the most convincing bruise and cut makeup, as she was pretty beat up throughout the majority of this film. That's one thing that I took away from was how convincing that injury makeup was, especially after the car crash.
She was
I actually
fucked
thought,
up.
did they just punch her in the eye 5 times? Is that what they did?
Yeah, I mean, it's not something that I usually think about, but in this case, it was like, wow, she looked like she just got the shit beat out of her.
She went method. She was just like, hit me, hit me.
Yeah. Dan Stevens is also... Oh, wait, just a second. I skipped a sentence. The scares are few, but the tension is high. Singer does a great job at maintaining the feeling of being trapped in various ways, first as being a teen dragged along with the family, then as a patient in a hospital, then as a prisoner almost of the resort. Dan Stevens is also great as the smarmy resort owner bad guy. It's engaging throughout, but starts to get a little sketchy towards the end where it feels like it has to wedge in all the necessary exposition. I'm still confused at why some stuff happened, and the ending felt like there were still some loose ends with explaining the cuckoo quotation. Yeah. But overall, it felt really satisfying, even with its flaws. I give it a score of 8 out of 10. What say you?
Yeah, I also will give it an 8 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. I did jump a couple times, and one of the times was because I thought something was going to be scary, and then someone near me moved their leg, and that revealed one of the lights on the stairs, and I didn't know what that was, and it scared me so bad. But yeah, I did. Besides that, I did jump another time in the movie. The noises in the movie were very scary, just very anxiety inducing, and the heartbeat thing made my heart race. So I like the way that I feel like it was very inventive in the way that they tried to scare you or induce anxiety in you. And Hunter Schafer was fucking incredible in this movie. And I thought all the other actors were awesome too. And I think Dan Stevens is really hot, and I didn't think he was hot at all in this movie. I was very repulsed by him.
Really?
Wow.
He was so weird that it was icky. I was oh God.
I actually had the opposite effect because when you were talking about how hot he was in, what is it, Abigail?
Yeah.
I was he's kind of greasy in that movie. But this one, I was oh, he's clean cut. He's got a, tucked in shirt. Yeah, it's kind of hot. I get it.
Well, he still is hot. It's not I didn't recognize his looks, but I just the German accent and the weird way he talked was not for me. But yeah, I thought it was great, and I agree with Bryce's criticism of that. There were a few things that we'll get into in spoilers that I'm why? What is the motive? What was the what is the answer to this question? So that's why I didn't give it a 10. But it was great. I really had a fun time. And I honestly was like, should I just stay here and see it again? Just like, maybe I missed something. I don't know. Well, I did miss like 30 seconds at the beginning. So you guys are going to have to tell me what happened there. But yeah.
So when did you come in? Did you...
Right before the title. So it was like I walked in, I realized it was already on, and then I had to like put my fucking flashlight on to find my seat because it was so dark in there. I felt like such an asshole. But it was like there was a lot of screaming and Dan Stevens on the phone and some girl ran away, and then it was like Cuckoo.
Yeah.
Okay.
I know what she's talking about. I have to share this because this was just so wild. My friend who I went with, not really, you guys are my only friends, but I went with a friend and I get there and he's like, the commercials are going and he's like, I'm going to go get popcorn in a minute. And I'm like, okay, yeah, the movie will probably start in like 5 minutes. And he's like, okay, I'll go then. And I'm like, what? What are you talking about? So he stays. I didn't question it. He stays for all the trailers. As soon as the movie starts, he's like, all right, I'm going to go get popcorn. Stands up and leaves for like 10 minutes.
What?
And then comes back. Just didn't even... What? I expected him to be like, what's going on? Or like, what did I miss? Didn't even care. He just sat down with his popcorn and continued with the movie. I've never seen that happen before. That was wild.
So he just, I'm gonna guess he just values eating popcorn during the actual movie above seeing the movie.
That's crazy.
Loves movies and he loves horror movies. So that was odd.
That's very weird.
That's very confusing.
I mean, that's the only explanation is like, well, I don't want to buy it 5 minutes early and then eat half the popcorn before the movie comes on. Which
I think he
is what
said
I
that
usually do.
there was a long line and he didn't want to wait. He was going to wait until the line was gone. But like, if you get out there and the movie started and there's still a long line, what do you do? I mean, he was literally gone 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's rough.
I'd be like pissed because if I get to a theater and the trailers are still on, I'm unsure of like how many trailers have passed and like, I don't know, like, because movies don't start on time. If I really want to get concessions, I will run. I will fucking run and go as fast as I can and try to like, or if I go with someone, I'll make them to go do it because if I have to see a movie for the pod, I don't want to miss any of it. So, but yeah, I was unfortunately late for this because I went, I didn't work this week. So I went at it was at like 1:30 p.m. and I was very much trailing behind.
Absolute degenerate hour to see a movie in theaters.
It was nice though. I had the rest of the day.
Saw it at 1:30.
It was great.
Crazy to me. I was literally at work. I was like on my lunch break when you guys texted me and you're like watching Cuckoo and I'm like, you guys.
All right, Max,
you jobless freaks.
Give your review.
Hey, even if I had
a job.
My last job had half day Friday, so I could have still gone.
Oh, that's nice.
At 1:25.
All right, sorry. Judgmental Max came out for a second there.
Yeah, of course it does. And you also so you like Dan Stevens in this movie, which means you sympathize with, controlling Germans. I don't know what that says about you, Max, but
I think that's a reach. I think that's a reach. I like that he kept calling her Grecken, and she's like, okay. Guys, here's the thing. If we can't give this movie a 10 out of 10, what movie can we give a 10 out of 10? What are we doing? This is the best movie of the year. This is the best movie. Yeah, this is the best movie we saw this year. It was so fun.
It was fun.
And there were genuine, like, terrifying moments. Like, there's one jump scare that, like, it's done so well because it's not, like, just out of the blue. It's tension building, and then you see something extremely creepy, and then you get jump scared. Like, it was, like, perfect. So...
you'll have to explain that more in spoilers.
You're talking about the bike scene, right? Is that what it is?
No, but I like that scene too.
Yeah,
that's what I thought of too.
My favorite effect was the bike scene. Yeah,
the bike scene.
So there's just so many. Yeah, there's like there's only like 3 or 4 like actual scary scenes. The rest is kind of just story and world building, but I think it's done pretty good. My only complaint would be like, I don't know if the monster per se was like very, I feel like we could have gotten more information about it and understood it better. But still, like I didn't feel like I was lost, and I really enjoyed the movie. The acting was really good. So yeah, 10 out of 10. Best movie I've seen this year.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I still like the movie that I can't remember the name of. What's the movie that I said was the best of the year?
Oddity.
Lisa Frankenstein.
Oddity.
Lisa
Yeah, I still think
Frankenstein
Oddity
so
was the best one. I don't know. I think it was the complete package. This one, it's just the only thing that I knock points off for is just the ending seemed rushed, and seems like there was a lot of loose ends.
It was like a 2-hour movie, though. It wasn't like rushed. I feel like the ending was a good chunk of the movie.
I think they should have like drip fed a little more of the exposition throughout, and like told us a little more about what was going on. Maybe.
I didn't give a single movie a 10 out of 10 that was released this year. I was just looking. I was trying to think of what my favorite was of this year. My favorite's still The First Omen. I still like that the most. But this, I was really excited for this, and this was really good. Like,
yeah. I mean, even giving like Oddity 10 out of 10, I still, someone called me out and was like, this is not, beyond genre boundaries quality.
That's the one that I always think, like, I'm always like, it's not like transcending genre boundaries, but I don't even know if we should like keep that as like the marker for, because
we
like
don't say it anymore though.
Yeah. I feel like a movie can be a 10 out of 10 without being a movie that like is universally loved and like changes the game, like.
I don't know. Just a question of whether you want to be a movie snob or not. I do. Like I want to be a movie snob and say like, this is worth your time because it's important.
I mean, does a movie need to be like Exorcist good to be a 10 out of 10? Because if that's true, then none of the 10 out of 10s I've given are valid.
I mean, for me, it's the touchstone. Like for me is like The Exorcist is what I measure everything else against in terms of just writing, directing, and acting quality. And yeah, there's very few that measure up against it, but it doesn't have to be that weighty. It doesn't have to be like that important per se, but the amount that it impresses me and the amount that I enjoy it is like measured against The Exorcist. I mean, I think I gave Butt Boy 10 out of 10 and I stand by that. I'm like, yeah, Butt Boy is The Exorcist of that type of film. Like it's that good.
Well, I think that I think one of the best movies we've watched, us three, for this podcast has been An American Werewolf in London. And that is a perfect movie. And that actually transcends genre boundaries. If we're talking the literal scale that we're using, that is a comedy and a thriller and a drama and a horror movie all in one. And I really like that aspect of it. But also I really loved The First Omen, and that's just purely a horror movie. And I still gave that a 9 out of 10, And Long Legs is a horror movie also, and I still gave that a 9 out of 10. So I don't know. I feel like we all have our own little scale for how we rate movies.
Turns out that rating is subjective.
Who knew?
It's not something that you can say you're right about. Other than if you're me, because
or me, because
I would say that your guys' scales are probably a little more technical, whereas mine is a little more based on vibes. It's like how much did I enjoy the movie, and if it's a 10 out of 10 enjoyment level, that's what I stick with.
Yeah.
Well, you know what you should stick with? Not watching commercials, not listening to commercials, and the only way to do that is if you join our Patreon and join at the tier where you get early access to our reviews without commercials. You could also support the show by going to our shop, horrormovietalk.com/shop. You can get logo tees or a logo hoodie like Max's modeling. Also check out our resident artist, Dustin Goebel, a professional artist who fucks hard. He also takes commissions for artwork from HMT fans. I just want to say, Dustin, no matter how many times we mention him or like talk about him on every episode, we can't say enough good things about Dustin and like just his generosity at doing the episode artwork for us. So please support him on Instagram at dgoebel00. That's at DGOEBEL00. And make your artistic dreams come true. Call 682-253-4468 to leave us a voicemail. And I just want to thank you all again for listening. So let's get into spoilers.
Okay, tell me what happens at the beginning, because all I remember...
The itchiness is down my back. Ugh.
So it opens up to just like sounds of Germans arguing.
I remember the screaming, like the screeching that we hear, like throughout the movie.
It's not quite screaming yet. It's just like a couple arguing in German. So imagine you're a small child worried about your parents getting a divorce, and so that's the scare level we're at.
It's not hard to imagine.
There's one.
The joke is that they got divorced.
And then there's this girl in her teens, I guess, and she's just shivering, like just shaking, kind of like
Alma,
not quite convulsing, but standing up, like shaking. And then what happens, Max? Like, then the arguing turns into, she starts to run away, and then the arguing turns into screaming, like there's the husband's attacking the woman. I assume. I mean, that's usually how these things work. Let's be honest. And then what?
Dan
Max?
Stevens, like this is where I saw it.
So she runs away, and then the husband like is on the phone, and he's like, the girl ran away, and the guy's like, you lost her already? That's gonna complicate things. And then that's when it ends, I think.
And then it's title, I'm pretty sure. Because I saw that. Like, I saw that part. Like, I saw her in bed. I remember the screaming. I remember Dan Stevens on the phone. And then it was title card. And I saw her
probably
run
didn't
away.
miss much then. You probably missed like 20 seconds.
That's what I'm thinking. I was so scared. I was literally... The movie started at 1:30, and I got in the theater at like 1:47, and I had to pee so bad because I was in the car for like 35 minutes. And... then I went in, and the girl that was like checking the movie tickets was like, cool tattoo. And I didn't know which one she was talking about, but I said, thank you. And then
you're like, out of the way, bitch.
I was like, I need to go. And then someone was in my seat. I got seat D10, which is in the back of the theater. And I was like putting my flashlight on, like with my, hand around it. So it wasn't that bright. And someone was in D10. So then I just had to like sit in a random seat. And I hate when that happens because I was already late and I was already stressed. And then I was like, oh no, someone's in my fucking seat. And it was fine because there wasn't that many people there. But
how full was the theater?
It was a small theater, so there were only I think there were only like 5 or 6 rows. And there were people in every row, but there wasn't anyone sitting together. Like everyone who went seemed like they went alone. Because like there was a girl 2 away from me who was alone. There was a guy who was in my seat that was alone. And then there was like someone else a couple away from him. So like there were 3 seats in between this guy and this girl. So I sat in the middle of them. So I didn't have to sit next to anyone.
For me, like even the assigned seating is just like, it's meaningless to me because there's never more than 7 people in the theater when I go. So I'm like, I'll just sit wherever.
When
Like,
I saw
I'll go
Long
in
Legs, every single seat was full. It was the first time I ever saw that.
Long Legs was the only time my theater was packed. I literally rolled up to the theater and showed him my ticket, and he scanned it, and he goes, "Oh, there's only like 2 people in that theater." I'm like, "Yep, that's how every horror movie is in my town. No one goes. It's just me."
What's crazy is like horror as a genre consistently makes money. Like I can't imagine what like some of these dramas or, comedies do in the theater. It just must be no one sees them because somehow horror movies consistently are able to, have a return on investment. But when I go see them opening night, it's like 8 people in the theater.
I think the big thing on it is, I think it's the budget. Like, they don't spend very much money on these movies, and so they don't have to make that much in the box office. Like, what they get is plenty.
Yeah.
Well, when I saw the first Omen, I saw it in Dolby Digital because it just had that option. I was like, well, hell yeah. If I'm going to go see this, I'm going to do this. And there was like 5 people there, and the Dolby Digital theaters are bigger than the regular theaters. So like that, honestly, number one, it surprised me. I know it's more expensive, but it surprised me. Number 2, it made it way scarier because there was like 5 people in the theater, and I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get killed right now. But this one, like, I was surprised like that there were a fair amount of people for 1:30 p.m. in the afternoon in Peabody, Massachusetts, like at a mall. Like, it was really weird, but it was cool.
Yeah, I had to drive across town to see it. And I think there was one closer to me, but it wasn't Regal, so I couldn't use my Regal Unlimited there. And I'm cheap, so. Anyway, so there's the cold open, and then there's kind of the intro scene where the family pulls up there with a moving van. We're introduced to the family. There's Gretchen, played by, what's her name, Hunter?
There she is.
And then she's a teen, and then there's the father and stepmother and little half-sister
Beth
named
is the
Alma.
stepmom, and Luis is the dad. And
Yeah, let's see. I got
Alma is the daughter.
All those years in Euphoria really helped her to like zero in on that teenager who doesn't care about anything vibe. Like, it's so perfect.
And the bike riding scenes reminded me. She rides a bike a lot in Euphoria too at night, and so I was like, "Wow, she has a ton of practice for this. This is perfect."
She must be a good bike rider.
I know, must be
She's
really
been practicing.
She's so good. She can balance and everything. It's crazy.
I bet she doesn't even use training wheels anymore.
Probably not. Probably it's just so crazy.
Oh, Sydney, do you know how to ride a bike?
Yes, but I didn't learn until I was like 10, so that's pretty late.
Okay. I mean, that's
But I'm good. I have a bike. I have a bike with a basket. It's blue.
Oh, cute.
It's very
Well,
cute.
of course you do. You're bisexual. Isn't that required?
Do you like ride it to the library and put like the 2 library books that you got in the little basket, and then you go get like a baguette from the store and
No, she gets a cronut.
So so my bike is what they call a beach bike. So it doesn't have a gear shift. So it literally goes 1 gear, which is extremely,
it's a cruiser.
Yeah, it's extremely hard to ride in the very hilly area that I live in. And also one of the tires has a hole in it. So no matter how many times I pump it, it is flat. So I have to take it and get it fixed. So I can't
Sydney,
use it right now.
You know how holes work?
I didn't realize
they'll just clog themselves.
I didn't realize there was a hole in it for a while. The first time I realized it was when I got a bike pump. I pumped the tire, and then I went for a bike ride, and 5 minutes later it was flat, and I was like, "Oh, okay. Well, now I know that there's a hole in it."
Max, did you ride a bike on your mission?
I was just about to bring this up. This has taken us a little off topic, but I did have a bike on my mission. I used it about half the time. The other half I had a car. But it took me like 3/4 of the way through my mission. So like a year and a half before I realized what the gears did.
Oh man.
So I was
Oh, my
just
God.
pedaling my little heart out up
Oh,
these
my
huge
God.
hills. And
How?
I don't
I just didn't understand them. I saw the
You
numbers. I
never-
was like, I don't know what the numbers do.
Well, why
You
didn't you
never
fuck with
rode
it
a bike
until
with
you...
gears before your mission?
No, I
What?
never did.
You just rode a BMX or something?
Yes.
That's crazy.
That is bonkers. So so you saw your companion just kicking your ass on his bike. At what point does your companion go like, why are you not changing gears?
Well, that's what did happen. So my first few companions were so slow. Like they were changing their gears and they were just weak men. They could not pedal a bike. And I was always ahead of them and it was so annoying. And then I would get a companion who was just like jacked beyond all belief and he's pedaling so fast and he's like a mile ahead of me and I'm like, I don't know how to even find this guy. He's in another city than me. So
My
that's
little
when
legs are going like this, but I'm not going faster.
So that's when I had to actually be like, okay, what do these things do? Because I don't understand them, and you're going so fast. So that's when I learned. But
Max, that's
which makes me
crazy.
think maybe your first companions weren't slow. They were just going as slow as you were to be nice.
no, they would be behind me. They would be like, I'd be like, oh my gosh, this elder is driving me
So-
crazy.
So I'm so curious, what gear were you actually?
Oh, I wouldn't be able
Pedaling
to
in.
remember.
One.
I don't
That'd
know.
be so wild if you were in first gear.
You
I probably
were.
was. I was probably in first gear.
You're just sweating your ass off, pulling up to someone's front door like, hey,
Oh, yeah.
Actually, I don't know what that means in bike. I think in first gear, is first gear the hardest or the
first gear is
easiest?
the hardest. And then once you get
Yeah, you're probably in
higher-
like gear 23. You're like going like 1/8 of a mile per hour.
Well, I remember like the first time I was like super behind my companion, I was like, I gotta switch these gears or something. I don't know. And so I switched them, and then my chain falls off, obviously, because I don't know what I'm doing. And now I'm like stuck, and my companion literally doesn't care. He's like gone. And so I'm like trying to figure out how to put a chain on.
Oh
Homeless
man.
people are walking up to me asking for money, and I'm like, I have nothing. And they're like, look at that watch on your hand. You got money. You tell me you don't got money. I'm like, I bought this for $10 at Walmart. Back off.
It's not a rolling.
Yeah. Well, we gotta swap bike stories on the afterpod. But anyways, Sydney, get a patch kit. Just patch your tire.
There are a lot of things fucked up with my bike. We can get into it on the afterpod. There's a lot of things wrong with it, and I just need to take it to a bike store and have them fix all of it. Like I need to.
Yeah.
Like that's the goal at this moment. It's not fixing it because I can't at this point. There's too many
Yeah.
things.
I don't know.
No, I'll tell you guys about it. But
So
let's
that's
let's
all to
talk
say
about this
that-
movie.
That's all to
Hunter
say
Schafer
that
is a great bike rider.
She really is.
Phenomenal bike rider.
She does like an Akira slide in this, like with the bike. She like slides on her side, which is cool as fuck. Yeah.
So we're introed to the family, and like the main dynamic is Gretchen does not want to be there.
They fucking
She-
hate Gretchen. They are
Yeah.
so fucking mean to her.
They're over Gretchen. Alma seems to be nice to Gretchen, and Gretchen has no interest or affection for Alma, apparently. And then I think pretty soon we see Gretchen leaving a voicemail to her mother, which, I mean, since I've seen movies before, I could immediately tell, like, oh, her mother's dead.
Yeah.
And she's leaving a voicemail to her dead mother.
Yeah.
I don't know how long that was supposed to be slow rolled, but they don't actually fully reveal that until the third act.
But
I feel like
it's
just
assumed.
context. Yeah, just the context clues of she's living with her dad, who she doesn't usually live with,
Right.
and she doesn't want to be there. It's like, yeah, her mom died. That's like the only reason that would happen.
Yeah, and obviously the dad got remarried like a long time ago, like 8
Yeah.
years ago. They say they went on their honeymoon to this resort, and like had this kid. So the parents were probably divorced for a long time, and she'd stay with her mom, and her dad started this new life. And so she probably didn't ever see her dad. Based on their relationship in this movie, they do not have anything to talk about or in common. Like, they are, for someone whose mom just died, they are so fucking mean to her. Like, they're literally like, leave me alone, Gretchen. Like, no, you're being a nuisance, Gretchen. Like, no, you're supposed to do this, Gretchen. And she's just like sad. Like, she's just so sad. Like, and it sucks. It's really sad.
Yeah. We're also introduced to Dan Stevens' character, Herr König. And he is apparently Luis's boss.
Kind of.
I think,
and is going to
he's
be
hiring them.
Yeah, they're
for-
going to build another resort with him. And so this is like they're going to live in this resort and they're planning on building another one.
Well, they have
somewhere.
a house. They have like a house on the resort. Like, it's
Right.
not just like one of the little shitty cabins on the resort. They have a really nice house.
And Herr
Dan
König.
Stevens just starts like immediately hitting on the mom as soon as they roll up. It's so funny.
He's like,
Yeah.
Beth.
He's like,
There was
good to see
also
you.
a moment where like I don't think they got a establishing shot enough, but like when Dan Stevens is like standing up talking to the mom next to the window where Luis is sitting, like I think he's supposed to be disturbed that Dan Stevens' cock is right next to his face, but it doesn't have the establishing shot of it. That's like unfortunate because like I could see what they were going for, but they didn't show it,
I
unfortunately.
feel like I got the idea. That was
It was
funny.
more like, why the fuck are you hitting on my wife? That was like what it more translated into.
But
But
with the cock right in front of his face.
Yeah, besides the cold open, like this actual introduction into what the movie's going to be about is super interesting because it just kind of like Gretchen rides with the movers, which makes no sense. She could have fit in the other car. So it kind of establishes that she has this strained relationship with them. Like, she's not doing well. And it's also just so weird when they pull up to the resort because Dan Stevens is acting very strange and like hitting on the mom and also being weird towards Gretchen, being like, you must be Grecian, and she's like, can you fuck off? Yeah. And like it's like the cars and the vibes of everything is very 80s, but then like Gretchen has a smartphone, so it is set in modern time, and this goes on. Like, I was so confused at one point because of the way that when Gretchen gets the job, her coworker like dresses and does her hair and stuff. I was like, wait, is this the 80s? And then I was like, wait, no, she was on her iPhone like 5 minutes ago. Like, this is, it's really interesting.
no, they're just German.
Yeah, I wonder if it's just a different culture with different.
I've been to
dressing.
Germany. I've been to Germany.
Oh, sorry, I've never been. I'm not trying to be the authority on Germany. I was just thinking out loud here.
They just,
Yeah, I think
you know.
whenever you go to Europe, you just understand they're in a different time culturally.
Well, I also
like
thought
it's hard to put your finger on, like, but it's like these people aren't in the 20th century. I don't know what century they're in, but like they're smoking cigarettes, they're like wearing Adidas tracksuits.
I also just thought that like the vibe of it being 80s kind of even though it's not the 80s, like I think it kind of plays into the time loop stuff that happens. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's supposed to, maybe it's just an artistic choice to have it, but I don't know. That's kind of what I thought.
Yeah, so pretty quickly it starts getting creepy. Gretchen goes into a bathroom, is like stalked by someone in platform shoes. That we only see the shoes and then later find out that it's the doctor.
No, it's
then-
the monster thing.
It's the trench coat mom.
I don't know, because I was keeping my eye out for shoes, and when the
trench
doctor
coat, the trench coat lady has the same shoes on. They
a
established
whole-
that. There's a whole
there's a whole shot where she walks into the room and she has the same shoes.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm just saying, when the doctor came out of her car, I was looking at her feet, and she had very similar shoes.
Nah,
Okay?
you were wrong.
They were very clearly brown boots.
Maybe this is why you didn't give it a 10 out of 10. You weren't paying attention
so-
enough.
So immediately she's being stalked by this cuckoo creature?
Yeah.
Is what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Well,
Does that change your score at all?
I'll give it an 8.5.
Hey, no half scores.
Yeah, you gotta at least give it a 9 now.
Motherfucker.
And if you're at a 9, just give it a 10, I guess.
Yeah, I don't remember what. I mean, there's some more like character establishing stuff, but then the first time we see like the weird effects of the place, I guess technically the first thing was you see someone throwing up.
Yeah, because she gets a job. They're in like the main. Oh no, does she not get the? No, she gets the job at that point, and Dan Stevens is like, "Do you want to work for me at reception? Like, Beatrice can train you," and she's like, "Sure." And then when she's like training, someone just comes in and throws up, and Beatrice is like unaffected by this, and she's like, "It happens all the time." And Hunter Schafer's like, "What the fuck?" Like she's just like puking.
Yeah, it sounds like a problem.
Like this girl just pukes and then she like walks out and then like it's fine, and there's like a cop there who we find out is like Beatrice's boyfriend, which was interesting too. I don't know.
And we never find out who has to clean up the throw up. It doesn't seem like we'd ever see anyone taking responsibility for
I don't think
cleaning
anyone
that up.
does. I don't think
There's
anyone
one
ever
scene
does.
where a girl throws up into like a bunch of like produce or like whatever, like a bunch of like items, and no one does anything about
Right.
it.
And then she just steals a soda and walks away.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
So the first time we see like really kind of what the movie is about is nighttime. And well, wait, is it nighttime?
No, she's
The first time, yeah, it's during the day, and you just hear like kind of bird sounds and stuff, and Alma starts shaking like the girl in the cold open, and Gretchen doesn't even notice because she's like practicing her bass with headphones on, and when she sees Alma shaking, she takes her headphones off, and all of a sudden she's thrown into a time loop for some reason.
Yeah.
Like she goes and tries to help Alma, but then she gets transported back to like 5 seconds ago, and then 3 seconds ago, and then 2 seconds ago. This is the thing, like, do they ever explain what the time loop is about or like what that is for?
That's my problem with this movie. Is it number one, I think the time loop stuff is great, and it sets tension, and it's really like creepy because it's like, how do you get out of this, right? And that's the thing with these monsters or hatchlings or whatever they call them. Like, what is the goal there? That is my problem with the movie, is like, why are they doing this? Why are they creating these people? Is it just so they can put them in put other people in time loops for what? Like, they don't answer
I think you guys
that.
are way overthinking this.
No, I mean,
He's a
no,
preservationist. He's interested in preserving animals that are going extinct.
Yeah, so I mean,
Okay.
so like the spoilers
say
are
that.
the whole point of this whole like endeavor and this resort is to act as like a conservatory for this
Breed?
this creature. Do you guys remember? Did you write down what they called it? The scientific term? It was like Homo cuckoo something.
I didn't write it down.
But it's like this humanish monster thing that what's it?
It has like this hypnotic scream like a cuckoo bird would.
Yeah, it has a hypnotic scream, but also like the way it reproduces is it
Lays its egg inside other people.
yeah, and I can't remember what the scientific term for that is.
Rape.
Like it's a parasite surrogate situation where it lays its egg in humans, and that's how it reproduces, because the whole thing around the cuckoo bird is that it will lay its eggs in other birds' nests and make the other birds raise their young, or hatch their young, which is a nice little trivia item.
Yeah.
But the whole thing around this resort is that they're trying to breed this this creature. So it's very what do you call those things? Like Sasquatch and
Cryptids?
Cryptids. Yeah, it's like a they're trying to breed a cryptid, and Dan Stevens' character is like that's his goal. And the whole thing with opening another resort and with Gretchen's dad and stepmom is that they're going to open another resort so they can breed another one. And actually it's revealed that Alma is one of these cuckoo creatures.
Because it sets up in the beginning that she is mute. And she uses they do German sign language with her, and she also uses like her phone to talk. So like you kind of just think she's mute for a little bit, but then once you realize that like the creatures don't talk, you're like, oh well, she's probably one of them. Like that wasn't like a huge reveal. Like I think it was implied for a while, but yeah. I don't know.
Yeah, so this goes back to the question of like what we know about this cuckoo creature is that it breeds by putting its eggs in humans.
Which is basically them just like reaching in their vagina and pulling out a lot of goo, cummy goo, and going, and like the person who's getting inseminated, I guess, is like rubs their legs. They call it the leg ceremony.
So I don't know what that was, but I really liked it.
I liked it too.
Like odd.
It was so weird.
It was so weird that I was like, I can't even understand this, and I love it.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Yeah,
but it didn't really like, I don't know. Because the one where it was like, yeah, the girl, the coworker that was already DTF with her cop boyfriend, she was already naked. So you're like, okay, well, I guess this might kind of make sense for insemination. But then like Gretchen, when she's paralyzed, like she's, there's an attempted gooing, but they don't even like take off her pants or anything. She's just like holding out a handful of goo to Gretchen fully clothed.
The creatures aren't smart. They don't understand clothes.
And it also didn't it didn't happen with her, so we know it wasn't like to completion. It also it wasn't to completion with Beatrice either, right? I don't know.
No.
I don't think so.
It wasn't.
So anyways, like that's what we know, but then like the time loop thing is just kind of a random thing. Like the best I can come up with is that it's just a method of sedation
or a defense mechanism.
Yeah, I think it's just a defense mechanism of the creature.
Yeah.
So like that's just a random thing to throw in there. It's like, yes, it's a creature that has that's evolved alongside Homo sapiens that reproduces in a different way, and also it controls space-time.
Well, I think
which
that's
is kind
cool
of
because Dan Stevens is like, well, with every like one that we breed, they get stronger. So maybe like the time loop will reach like a bigger radius at some point, and like he can control like humanity. I think that's what he's trying to do.
Well,
maybe.
I don't know if it goes that far. I actually feel like it might not even really control time. I think it might be more of just like a hypnotic thing where you get like severe like deja vu. It's very disorienting, and it feels like you're repeating the same moment over and over. Because in the end, when Alma does it to the two guys with the guns, they don't actually like move. Like they just stand still and they look like in a trance. So there's no like, I don't know. To me, it could go either way. Like maybe they really do control time, or maybe it was just like you feel like you're repeating a moment as they're like getting closer, ready to kill you. Like it could work either way for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go through some of this other stuff. Let's rewind back to Gretchen sees Alma shaking. She experiences this time loop. Then she starts working at the reception area, sees like a couple weird things, and Herr König is very insistent that she does not bike home. By the way, aside, I feel like my training as a classically trained singer has really helped me with pronouncing these names. You know, I'm going to say both of you are terrible at reproducing the German, and I could teach you a few pointers.
I've said multiple times that I'm awful at accents. I can't do them.
Guten Tag.
Gretchen.
It's
Ich bin
actually
Sydney.
Gretchen. It's the
Gretchen.
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 Herr König. Okay.
König.
König.
So it's
It's because you're so phlegmy.
König.
That's why you're able to produce it so well.
German is actually a surprisingly beautiful language. Like, you know, it's the ugly
It's the
language.
celestial language.
French is nasty. French is where all the phlegmy, like,
No, I like French.
junk is. Anyways, so here König is trying to tell her that she can't bike home late at night, that he will definitely give her a ride. And for some reason, just because she's a shitty teen, she's like, I'm going to do what I want. And she works late. And apparently
the
her
guy
coworker
is so
like,
creepy though. Like I wouldn't want to be around him either if I was her. Like she's 17.
He's like always
she's like
touching
fuck
her
off.
shoulder.
yeah.
He does that weird like one shoulder and then like goes across her back and like goes to her other shoulder when he first meets her. It's weird.
Again,
If I did that to
think
my
that's
wife,
just-
she'd be like, what are you doing?
Again, it's hard for me to tell whether this is like creepy or whether this is just European. Like it's very hard to tell.
Well, he's obviously creepy. We find out. He's obviously a weirdo.
I do think that we're a little like weird about touch in America, but I think it's because we're so on guard
Yeah.
for like creepiness, which is probably good. But like at the same time, it doesn't mean that every person touching another person has to be weird. But
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, they kiss each other on the cheek to greet each other.
I think that's
family-
beautiful.
My family does that.
Really? Oh, well, you're Italian. That makes sense.
It's like a mwah, mwah to everyone.
Anyways, and then so Gretchen, like
No,
ends up-
first she meets a lesbian. And and she's like, do you smoke? And then it cuts to them outside making out. And that's her first day of work. And then she bikes home by herself.
no,
That was-
you're missing.
later.
That's the next
No,
day.
the first
She
the
runs
first
away
one-
during that part.
Yeah, the first scene
Sorry.
where she's working, she just is working, and then she goes home late. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, she's biking home, and at night, and this is my favorite scene of the movie because number one, she's biking home at night, and she looks to her side, and there's just like some random person like running in the woods, and she's completely unfazed by this. She's like,
I love it.
someone running full speed faster than my bike. All right. Anyways, I guess these Germans are weird. And then she's like biking, and she's like going underneath these street lamps, and you see from her perspective looking down at her shadow, if you know how shadows work. She sees like her shadow of herself on the bike, like extending in front of her as she passes these street lamps. And then it shows like, also she has her headphones on. That's an important part
Yeah.
of this, because she doesn't hear the bird sounds that are causing people to go crazy. And then she sees in the shadow behind her like another figure directly behind her and reaching out for her, which is one of the greatest
That is
greatest
so
effects.
scary.
Terrifying.
And then she turns around, and there's this crazy trench coated woman with like giant sunglasses on with red beady eyes that are shining through it, chasing her. And so she like panics and go to the hospital, and rams her head into the
That
door
was
for some reason.
insane. Like she was like, well, she was trying to get the hospital open, and we met earlier the superintendent at the hospital. So she knows this person that's there, and she rings the bell. They let her in, and there are sliding doors. Like if you think of a hospital classically in the US, you think of the sliding doors. So I think she was just trying to get in so fast that she didn't realize the sliding doors, or they weren't sliding doors at all. And she just ran into the fucking glass, and you just see like the mark on the glass, and then her head starts like bleeding. Oh, so good.
Yeah,
So
this is a little
good.
confusing because she was outside the doors and she calls for them to, because they're locked because, I don't know, after hours or whatever. And then over the intercom, they said, okay, we're coming down. And I think she goes through the first set of doors
Yeah, they unlock it.
and then rams into the second set of doors. And I couldn't tell whether, like, she tripped and fell and rammed herself into the doors or the cuckoo monster shoved her into the doors. But, like, when she comes to, the cuckoo monster is inside the first set of doors with her, or is she outside?
Outside.
She just trips into the door,
Okay.
like because she's freaking out. The monster doesn't actually get inside the hospital. She just watches her from the outside.
Okay. And then no one believes her that there is this woman chasing her and she was getting gaslit.
Well, I think the cops especially are like, because in her story she's like, yeah, she was staring at me until your guys' car rolled up and then she left. But they were like, well, that makes us look bad because if she was there and we were there at the same time, we didn't catch her. Like, that just makes us look incompetent. So they're like, how about we change it to she left and then we rolled up?
Yeah.
Well, and I think what we find out, well, you know, were the cops in cahoots?
The cop Jeff, I think, was.
Yeah.
Beatrice's boyfriend was one of the hair cronies, whatever. His henchmen. They're on his side. But also the people at the hospital are also on his side. So when she gets to the hospital and she gets staples in her head. That was a crazy scene. Like they're just stapling her fucking head while questioning her. And Alma is also in the hospital at this point, right?
Yeah, we see Alma in the hospital.
Because she's been having seizures or whatever. And she's in the same room. And when her dad sees Hunter Schafer in the hospital, he's just kind of like, you're so stupid. And like walks out. Like it's something like that. He's just like pissed. He's like, what's wrong with you? It's like, okay.
Walk through doors much, bitch.
I know. It's so mean.
Well, and it shows that the family is really mad at Gretchen because the doctor is like, your daughter Alma randomly has epilepsy. This can be caused by like stress. Is there anything new about your life that's like stressing her out? And they immediately look at Gretchen and be like, oh yeah, this bitch is here. But I was like, well, yeah, you also just moved. Like, did a huge move to a new place. Like, you wouldn't think that first. No, it's got to be because Gretchen is here.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah. It's a good point. So, and then the next scene, she gets out of the hospital, and then the next time she's working, she meets this Parisian girl, and Gretchen is already fed up. Like, she's seeing that she's getting blamed for Alma's seizures, and so she's, like, completely over it. And so, she decides to steal money from the till and use her money and get a flight back to America. And this Parisian girl is hot and is willing to make out with her. So she's like, I'll go with this one.
Great scene.
How hot was that, Sydney, for you?
I really love Hunter Schafer. I think she's immaculately hot. So, and the Parisian girl was also really hot. So I really liked when they were making out and also holding cigarettes. It was really cute. Very cute.
So we get Gretchen in the car with the Parisian lady, and they're driving away, and then another one of the Cuckoo attacks happens, and the lady with the beady eyes is in the middle of the road, and she gets in a horrible car crash.
I really liked this scene because when the time loop starts happening, it's when the French lady is passing Hunter Schafer the joint. And at one point, like she keeps taking the joint. It keeps, it happens. It looks like everything's vibrating when these time loops happen. And there is at one point where she's going to pass the joint and Hunter Schafer kind of realizes what's going on. And Hunter Schafer already has the joint in her hand when the French lady is passing it. So I thought that was really interesting because I was like, did Hunter Schafer can you just mentally get out of this in a way?
Yeah.
I thought that was cool.
Yeah, and I think they both kind of figure it out because they both look confused, like what is going on.
Yeah.
So yeah, and this really fucks up Gretchen. She's got like a broken arm and is really beat up for the rest of the movie.
So messed up after that.
Yeah.
She's got the staples in her head still. She's got a fucked up arm, probably some muscle damage there, and like her face is just. Ugh.
And by the way, she re-breaks this arm like 3 times throughout this movie. Like, I don't know why she's not being more careful with this arm, but she's just slamming it into things.
Doesn't give a fuck.
Anyways, Max, ask your question that we just cut out.
Yeah, I thought we were just going to keep everything in while you were going to the bathroom, so I kept talking, and then Bryce was like, none of this is going to be in the episode, right? And I was like, oh. I was just saying, like, do you feel like cars flip way too much in movies? Because as soon as they veer off the road, the car just starts barrel rolling down this hill. It's crazy.
I mean, I think that the cars that flip the most often are SUVs because they, that's just
they're top heavy
how things work. But yeah, that kind of car that they're driving is very sturdy and probably made out of solid fucking metal because cars are made out of plastic now. So it probably wouldn't have flipped that easily. But it depends on what they hit.
I think if you drive off into a ditch, you can flip around. If you swerve to avoid something, then yeah, that's possible. But yeah, movies definitely take advantage of that too much. But I will say I've almost flipped a 90s Bronco by just making a turn,
too fast.
And going above 20 miles per hour a little bit.
Jeez.
It was a different time back then.
Your wild days.
Back in my wild days, yeah.
When you had long flowing hair and no wife to keep you down, just driving on the open road in a Bronco, the
playing
windows
Guns
down.
N' Roses. And
Guns N' Roses.
Yeah, so we see the Cuckoo monster a little more in this interaction, and then Gretchen just comes to in the hospital, and we assume the Parisian girl is dead because she gets chucked by the Cuckoo monster into the grass far away, and we didn't see her move before then. So anyways, stuff is going on. Gretchen figures out something bad is happening, and then we can kind of skip forward to the end.
Yeah, she obviously gets fired from her job for stealing all the money. So then they're like, you need to after you get out of the hospital, you need to stay at home and stuff. And she suspects something's happening. And I don't remember where she is, but that guy approaches her who says he's a cop.
Yeah.
I don't remember when that happens, but it's during this sequence, of her being home. She meets the cop right before she meets the Parisian girl. He introduces himself and leaves his number. And then after she is out of the hospital, she actually talks to him. There's a little, I made a note in here because as they're they did kind of a sting operation to spy on this one honeymoon cabin where all the strangeness is occurring, and they, see the actual, predation of this Cuckoo monster to Gretchen's coworker.
So this was, I think, the scariest scene because the scene where the woman is just lying in bed and the monster comes around the corner and then skips and is really close to the camera. I screamed. I was scared.
Yeah, I really liked this scene because it's presumed that Beatrice, she wanted to get off work early and have a date with her boyfriend. She keeps talking about how they can't go on dates, and she finally tries to do this, and her boyfriend kind of walks in and she is naked and she's like, oh my God. And he's like, no, we shouldn't do this here, because obviously we find out later that he knows what's going on and what happens in the lover's nest. He's trying to like clean everything up, but they get stuck in a time loop while he's trying to get them out of there, which I thought was good.
Like one note that I made on here as they're doing this investigation, I realized that the detective was wearing like gray sweatpants and a t-shirt underneath his overcoat. And I was like, wait a minute. There's no detective that's going to be wearing a sweatpants in Europe. Like,
yeah. And he also tells this story about how one time he was working on a case, quote unquote, that someone's wife, this weird thing was happening with the lady in the trench coat, and he tried to chase her, the lady in the trench coat, but she got away. And when he got back, the wife choked on her vomit, and he was like, we never could solve that one. And obviously we find out that was his fucking wife, and we have a flashback to it. So yeah.
So anyways, we find out the detective is not actually employed by a police department anymore, and he's gone rogue. And then the ending like tries to shove in all of the exposition, and Gretchen is kind of in prison, and I can't tell whether they're trying to feed her to the cuckoo monster. Like, what were they trying to do in that pool?
They're trying to impregnate her.
Were they trying? But then he goes to kill her like almost immediately.
Well, because she doesn't get impregnated.
I think they are practicing, because the monster that comes in is the younger one. It's the daughter of the older one. I think they're training her with the flute, because he plays this flute, and then the monster like does its thing. And so it seemed more like they were just trying to see like, okay, will this younger one actually impregnate someone if we play the flute the right way?
Because she's the girl from the beginning who they said wasn't ready for it.
She's like about to do it, and they stop it, and they're like, okay, that's enough. We got what we needed. They don't actually need to impregnate Gretchen. They were just like practicing, I think.
Yeah. So,
interesting.
And then it happens really quick. Then all of a sudden, like, chaos happens. Gretchen finds out about these experiments that Alma is involved in. And then...
Well, first you think Dan Stevens is dead because the ex-cop comes in, shoots Dan Stevens. She kills the younger monster, and they kind of escape. And then they go to the hospital, where they find out that Alma's getting experiments ran on her, and she's going to be impregnated.
Realized?
What?
This is the third horror movie this year that focuses on forcefully impregnating women.
What are the other ones? Well, there's
Immaculate, the first
and
Omen.
Immaculate.
And Immaculate. Yeah, that's right.
That's a theme. That's got to say something about society.
Maybe it's going to say something about how Roe v. Wade was overturned a couple years ago, and now everyone's making movies about it. You know. Yeah.
So Gretchen finds out about Alma, and then all of a sudden she's like protective of Alma. We also find out that Alma tried to help Gretchen by calling her mom, which apparently Alma is not aware that her mom is actually dead.
It's really sad.
Which is,
I thought that was a really sweet moment.
No, it is super sweet, but it's like, it just makes her dad seem much, much more of an asshole, that like he's bringing Gretchen along, but not telling her sister that like, oh, by the way, her mother died, and so she's very sad right now. I don't know. Seems like that would be context that you would share with family members.
Even my 2-year-old sister knows that my dad died. Like, it's you gotta tell them.
That scene where they're playing the recording of her voicemail when the little sister calls the mom, and she's like, "Could you please call Gretchen back, because she's really sad that you won't call her back, and she always cries." So please call her back.
It's so
was
sweet.
So sad.
I didn't connect the dots that was like the text to speech thing.
Oh,
I thought
really?
like the whole time, oh, she could just talk, and she was just faking it. Like for
No, it was
I didn't get that
very-
until the end. I was like,
It was
okay,
very
that makes-
robotic the way it
Yeah.
was. Yeah. But also,
I just thought she sounded British. Is the thing.
well, they are British because Beth is British, so I think they lived in the UK.
Yeah.
But I also don't. This is another thing I don't understand. Now I understand that this guy's a preservationist and he's trying to like preserve this species, but I don't understand why Beth got so sick when Alma was in the hospital. Like she couldn't deal with any of it.
They say that the closer the mother, the monster mom is to the surrogate mom, like the more symptoms the surrogate mom experiences.
Yeah, which is weird.
That is weird.
The part that's confusing for me at this point is Dan Stevens comes in and is like, I found those he's talking to the doctor and he's like, I found the recordings that you made under your stairs, and then kills the doctor. I'm like, what just happened? Like the doctor's going rogue? Like, I don't understand why he had to kill the doctor. Did you guys catch that? It happened so quick.
I would say this part's a little hard to follow. How I was kind of interpreting it, which is maybe not, I don't know if it's right or not, but it kind of just seems like his plan is falling apart and he was already planning on moving the operation to a different place anyways. And so he's kind of just like, forget it. I'm shutting this down. I'm killing everyone who knows about this and we're moving it.
Well, I think
See, I
it's
didn't even
because
think he was moving it. I thought he was going to expand it. Like, I thought that was what the plan was.
Well, Gretchen and the rogue cop kill the younger one, and that was like their next like mother, because the mother one is like getting older and like more insane. Like she's harder to control, kind of, I guess is what I was getting from this. So they're trying to train this younger one to like be the new quote unquote mother, and Gretchen just killed this one, and then they've spent a lot of time trying to train this one and experiment with it, so it's getting all fucked up. And I think Dan Stevens was saying, do you still have those recordings? Because that was all of their experiments of like having the kid
so
in there and
cover-up.
introducing the mother. So he's killing the doctors so they won't say anything about this whole experiment thing that they're pulling.
Okay.
Dan Stevens
All
is
right.
trying to take control over everything and just start over basically with the original mother. That's why he wants to kill Alma.
Yeah, I think you have to read a lot into what's going on to like come to that conclusion. Like it's not super clear. It could have been a little more clear.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, anyways, the ending is so yeah, Herr König is trying to destroy all the evidence. At the same time, the detective and Gretchen are in the hospital, and so they're trying to stop him. The detective is trying to kill him and the cuckoo monster, and then Gretchen, her motivation changes to trying to save Alma, and there's a lot of like kind of Mexican standoff moments,
Which is
because
awesome.
of that.
I love the ending. I think it's great.
It's a really cool ending. I like it. The other like question that's left open to me is oh my gosh, I just realized I haven't used my clip that I haven't done this whole time. So the other question that is left open for me is like, why the wig? Like, why do they does
To make her look hot.
is he like giving the cuckoo monster the wig, or is the cuckoo monster using the wig? Like, where does the cuckoo monster live? Is it out in the woods? Like, because that's all we're told basically, but she seems like dressed like a kind of elderly rich woman.
Yeah. It seems like these monsters are very like gross looking. but they're like, well, if she's just going to be out in the woods, we can't have someone looking at her and noticing that she's a literal monster. So they dress her up, put like makeup on her, which, I don't know, kind of weird, but it makes for a good reveal when the wig comes off and she's just like got this like wispy bald head.
Yeah, she looks like Captain Hook in Hook after he takes his wig off.
Yeah, I
Max
think
hasn't
that
even
they're.
seen Hook.
I think
I've
that they're.
seen Hook, okay? It's been a long time.
No reaction. Come on, that was a great callback.
I think Max is right. I think they're just dressing them up because they like bestow the wig upon the younger one before she dies and stuff. And that's like, I don't know. That was just like the signal that she actually killed the mother. And if she kills the mother, then there's nothing like, what else are they going to do? Now there's like none of them. And it's just Alma, who's a baby basically, and doesn't know how to do any of the things yet, I guess.
No, she uses the superpower to paralyze Dan Stevens and the detective.
That was cool.
So she figured it out.
And she
Anyways,
covers Hunter Shaver's ears. It was very sweet.
So the moral to the story is...
Problem here. Little asshole stonewalling me.
Walter! What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Here you go, Larry. You see what happens? You see what happens, Larry? You see what happens? This is what happens, Larry. You see what happens, Larry? You see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps? This is what happens. You see what happens, Larry? You see what happens, Larry? This is what happens when you feed us scrambled eggs. What happens, Larry? This is what happens when you fool a stranger. What the hell are you doing, man? Stop it! Hey, man. I just bought this guy last week. See what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
Do you see what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps, guys?
Bryce, your references are amazing. Everyone knows you're the best references. Your references are out of control. Everyone knows that.
Do you know what movie that's from, Max?
What, that clip? No, I have no idea what movie that clip is from.
The Big Lebowski.
The bowling one?
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yes, but it's the TV edit of The Big Lebowski, which is a very specific poll.
What? What's the edit about?
The original is you see what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass, and he's like breaking up the car,
right.
but they replace it with
See what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
That's so fucking weird. Because
You see what happens?
At first, I didn't recognize it, and I was like, I know that's John Goodman, and that sounds like The Big Lebowski, but I don't understand what that line is. Okay, yeah. I get it now.
It's great. That's up there. That's my favorite. That's my second favorite TV edit line. My favorite TV edit line, which I think I've shared before on the podcast, is for Die Hard 2. And with John McClane's famous line that the whole like series is almost around, which is like, yippee-ki-yay, motherfucker. Like, they replace it with some of the worst ADR dialogue TV edit ever. He goes, yippee-ki-yay, Mr. Falcon. in
I think I've actually seen that one.
That's ridiculous.
That one's great. But this one's up there because it's so direct. See what happens when you fuck a stranger in the ass?
See what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?
Which is strangely
it works.
Applicable to this movie.
It works.
Yeah. Okay, anyways, let's move on to, I guess we should say who likes it. I mean, I think anyone would like this movie, especially if you're like kind of an A24 fan. It's great. If you're a fan of the X-Files, like you could drop Scully and Mulder into this movie and change almost nothing.
The monster aspect almost reminded me of The Hatching. I don't know.
I was thinking of that too. That's like, I think that's my favorite new horror movie of like the 2010s, like period. Hatching was
better than
so
Lamb?
good.
Come on now.
Yeah, better than Lamb. But this was actually distributed by Neon, which also did Long Legs. And Neon has been really, really awesome with horror movies lately. And A24 has honestly dropped the ball. So.
I mean, they did Talk to Me.
Talk to Me was
Recently.
amazing. I'm not saying that, but like, yeah, I don't know.
I think
Shots
A24
fired.
still got some gas left in them.
Maybe.
some
They
good
don't
ones.
market their movies well, though. So they don't make enough
All right.
money.
Well, okay. Let's move on. We're getting along in
This is a
the
long
tooth with this episode. So let's move on
shit.
to horror movie horrors.
You little hooah. But all this over some dead hooah. Hey, she was a hooah.
Mommy's little hooah.
That's the best one, Janice, with the fucking vibrator.
All right. So in this bit, we listened to our voicemail. So let me awkwardly turn to the side so I can play it off of my laptop.
How many we got?
We got a lot. I don't know if we'll be able to get through all these.
Really?
I'm so proud
know.
of our listeners.
It's your
Always
boy,
engaging.
Buffalo Bill, coming in with another movie review of my own. So this movie really disappointed me. The Watchers. I really wanted to see this movie once I saw the trailer. Wanted to read the book. Couldn't decide, movie or book. But I just watched the movie first. The movie was a letdown. Once again, I review movies on if I would recommend them or rewatch them. This is a movie that I would not recommend. It is a hard pass. It's just one of those movies where at the end, the last 30 minutes turns into something else. And it just felt weird and didn't belong. The movie should have ended when they got on the boat and left the island. Would have been original ending? No. But it would have been a lot better than the last 30 minutes drawn out and anticlimactic and all that BS.
And he goes on for another minute, but
You're not going to
Buffalo
finish
Bill
his
did not-
voicemail?
well, we got a lot of voicemails and it's already a long episode. I'm just saying.
I love Buffalo Bill. Yeah.
I love Buffalo Bill too.
Can't believe you just cut his voicemail short. I think that The Watchers was a letdown, and there was a lot of bad things about it. But I really like the whimsical folklore aspect about it. Like fairies, come on, that's great.
Yeah, and he goes on. I'll just read like the summary of the transcript, but he talks about how he'd classify this as a folklore horror and cites a couple better examples that he recommends. So The Hollow from 2015 and The Ritual from 2017.
Love The Ritual.
Love The Ritual.
So
Yeah.
good.
So thanks for that voicemail, Buffalo Bill.
Mwah.
Horror movie talk. Hey, it's Jersey Mike giving you guys a call. Bringing up an old age question. Zombie apocalypse, spear or bat?
Oh my
Which
god.
one would be the best weapon? Since you have some newcomers on the game, Sydney and Max, go ahead and choose a weapon. And please explain why it's the best. Thank you so much.
I think
Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about this before.
we definitely have, and I choose the bat if it's a metal bat, not a wooden bat.
Yeah, see, I think the problem is I know I'm not I'm not skilled with weapons. Like I don't know how effective I'd be with a spear, but I know I can swing a bat. But
Guys, what is wrong with you people?
But if I could choose other weapons, I think ninja stars would be really cool. Just an unlimited amount of ninja stars.
You gotta know how to throw them, though.
Well, if I have an unlimited amount, I can learn how to throw them.
Throwing knives would probably be more effective than ninja stars, though. Throwing knives, like
But ninja stars
this is-
look like
this is just
infinitely
madness.
cooler.
This is just madness. I can't take you guys seriously anymore.
Whatever.
Hey, Bryce, Max, and Sydney. This is Beatrice from Southern California. Discovered the podcast sometime last year when David was still on. and been a big fan ever since. And I used to call a lot and be more engaging, but life happened. Didn't have access to my phone or anything for a minute. The internet. But while I was away, I was really hoping that David would come back. Like, I think it was like around the holidays, had to go to treatment and stuff. I come back, had a lot of episodes to catch up on. And it was, Sydney, you've been doing a really great job. So have you, Max. And I just really appreciate the chemistry and the effort to keep this podcast going. I just finished listening to your last one, Grave Encounters, great episode, and we're listening to the voicemails, and gentleman said that he had mental illness and suffered from that, which is something I suffer from too, and addiction, and it's just, that's a real life horror movie in itself. I really appreciate horror movies that kind of have that theme in it. Like Antlers, for example, that scene where she's just walking past the liquor store. She's just staring at it. It's a real thing for some people. Speaking of Nick Cage leaving Las Vegas, that is a horror movie in itself. Like, just so relatable to me, at least. And I really like how you guys are so personable, and this is really a free space, like an open free space for us, non-judgmental. And I recently got back on Patreon, just the $2, but I'm not working at the moment, still trying to get my life back. And I really appreciate you guys, and thanks for keeping the show going and the consistency. And I'm just trying to be more active when I can, and I'll eventually bump up Patreon when I get a job again. So, all right. Talk to you guys later. Bye.
Thank you so much, Beatrice.
Thank you.
Yeah, I mean, what a champ.
You know what we should do? We should give Beatrice, we should just bump her up. Is there a way to just give her access to more Patreon stuff without her paying more? We could just do a little freebie for her.
I don't know. I think there might be a way now. But yeah, I mean, Beatrice, thank you so much for being a patron. Save your money, honestly. Like $2, I don't think she even gets anything for that other than just saying that she's supporting us. We appreciate your support from your listenership more than monetarily. So don't even worry about it.
And you know what? Those after pods will always be there. They're not going anywhere.
Yeah.
And so if you have the money later and you want access to that, they're not going anywhere. So there's no rush.
Yeah. Also, thanks for sharing about addiction. Yeah, I mean, addiction is definitely a theme in horror movies, like The Shining. At least the book is very much about alcoholism.
I think that is the best work of art I've ever seen explain alcoholism. The way he explains needing a drink in that book is so real.
Yeah.
Also, thank you, Beatrice. I'm sorry, my camera isn't focusing, but if you haven't noticed, but thank you so much, and I appreciate your honesty and candor, and also being a fan. I'm glad that we can, be there for you when you need us. Yeah,
reach out anytime. Even if on Facebook. Sydney's going.
Why is it blurry?
I don't know what's wrong with it. My camera has never not focused on me. We have the same.
Is it focused on my
Logitech.
mic? Oh my god, it is. There we go.
Anyways, thanks for calling in, Beatrice.
Sorry.
Hang in there. Thanks for the support. And thanks for the love. I still have to see Leaving Las Vegas. It's in my queue right now on Max, I think it is, on. It's one of those movies that's I gotta be in the mood to watch a real downer movie for a couple hours because it sounds horrific.
Hey, what's up, guys? Tired Sandwich from Cali. Hope you're all having a good day. And Max, look at your freaking mail, dude. As a mailman, that's atrocious that you don't go check your mail. Always. Go check. Right now, Max. Right now.
When did I?
Other than that, I was talking to Max about this game that I was planning on playing called Madison that my buddies had played instead of the serious game that they have played. Max, I just want to let you know, you and Sydney or you and Bryce should do that game because it is probably the scariest horror game I've played up to date. Yeah, so that's all I wanted to say. Hope you guys, again, have a great day. Max, check your mail.
I feel like such an asshole right now.
All right, done with go.
I am pretty sure. I don't know if it's him who messaged me. Someone messaged me and was like, "Hey, if I mail you guys a gift card, will you buy this game and play it?" And I think I forgot to respond. I feel so bad about that.
No, he told you to check your mail because we were talking on an afterpod or something about how you haven't changed your license to Idaho. And I was like, how do you get your mail? And you were like, I don't care.
Yeah, what? I don't remember that either.
I don't remember saying that at all. I get my mail. Maybe I just said maybe sometimes I just say stuff. I don't know.
I think you do.
I'm pretty sure I get my mail like every day or every other day.
You literally said I don't get my mail.
See, what's funny is Max sometimes just says things to troll listeners, and then he complains when the listeners troll him. It's like, wait a minute, I didn't mean that when I said that obviously asinine statement. Like, why are they attacking me?
I think the real problem is I'm both making jokes and genuinely stupid sometimes. And so, like, some of the things that I say that are stupid are, like, real, and I'm just dumb. And some of them, I'm purposefully saying something dumb because I think it's funny.
Right. Exactly.
But you can't tell because some of them are
It's
real.
a catch-22, yeah.
Okay, we need to... I'll look into that game because I remember someone mentioning that game, and I will also look into that person who wanted to mail us money to play a certain game. I feel so bad that I stopped responding to that.
I will say, Max, Sydney, and I all played a game 2 days ago together. It was not filmed. It was not monetized
I was so
or anything.
bad at it.
And I dominated these two at Risk. It was the most satisfying Risk win I've ever had.
You know what? Like usually when I'm playing Risk with other people, I'm like fuming because I'm so mad at the betrayals they're doing. I was just really happy to hear how happy Bryce was that he was winning. Like he was so giddy to be beating us at Risk.
Made it so easy. You didn't even put up a fight. You just let me.
I didn't know how to fucking play. It was my
roll
first
over.
time playing Risk. I was just like, okay, I do this now.
Yeah.
No idea.
It was great. Anyways, we'll probably do gaming sessions in the near future.
Yeah, definitely. I have a Steam now. So
this is Brian from Canada, and I just learned that Max lives in Idaho, and I knew he came from Utah.
I did.
And those might be the two lamest states. And I'm from Canada, and Canada's lame, but Idaho and Utah are way lamer. That's all.
Utah is actually a very fun place to live. I agree that Idaho is extremely boring, but Utah has an incredible music scene, great skiing and snowboarding. It has theater.
Don't you have soda shops where you can get like coffee creamer?
There's a soda shop
on
every corner. Utah is
So
actually a
nasty.
banger place to live. It's Idaho that is very boring.
Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and push back on that. Utah is not a banger place to live. It's okay. It's a nothing state. I will
think
say,
that
like
Utah has the best local metal scene in the United States right now.
Okay.
That cannot be true.
You should go to the metal shows around here. They're awesome.
That's such a terrible statement that there's no possible way that could be true.
I could link you 5 local Utah bands right now that are killing it.
I will say Utah breeds franchises. for some reason. Like, if you're gonna start a franchise, like a fast food franchise, for some reason, like they really start rolling them out in Utah. That and MLMs. It's a breeding ground for multi-level marketing companies.
Well, that's only a problem if you're stupid.
Well, why is it a problem in Utah then, Max?
That's a good question. I've never been in a MLM, so I must be the smart. I'm one of the good ones.
Other than Mormonism, that's a multi-level marketing scheme.
Oh, come on, Bryce.
Get all sent out, as missionaries. Like, hey, if you just sign up in your family, you'll get all these blessings when you pay us money.
My family was blessed while I was gone.
Hey guys, this is No One from Florida. Just giving you guys a call to voice some support. I'm a long-time listener, first-time caller. I just want to let you guys know you provide a valuable movie review service for me, who doesn't get as much time to watch movies as I would like, since we've got a 18-month-old baby, and Max, we're right there with you. Time flies, brother. So just enjoy every moment with these little ones. Just wanted to share a quick little fond memory I have of listening to HMT for a few years. I always like to go to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando, since we're down here in Florida. And one of my fond memories of the show was just listening to the Haunting of Hill House after show. I always like to marathon horror movies whenever they start announcing which houses are going to be there this year. So this year they're going to have Insidious, Quiet Place, something for the new Ghostbusters movie. So if you guys ever get a chance, I highly recommend coming to Halloween Horror Nights in Orlando. Let us know if you decide to make the trip. Love to meet you there, hang out with you. Also, just wanted to tell you that I've been really trying to make all the live streams on YouTube. I've had a great time hanging out and chatting with Max a little bit, so that's always a good time, and would love to see some more of that, just to spend some time with you guys on YouTube. And I'm not sure if you guys are big board gamers or not, but there's this horror board game called Final Girl that I think you guys would really love. It's a solo-only game, but you basically would get to choose whatever your favorite horror movie is, and you would play the final girl against whatever big baddie there is. So I'm sure that you guys would find one that you like. There's a bunch of different ones based on a whole bunch of different horror movies, whether you like Hellraiser or Freddy Krueger or Jason from Friday the 13th or anything like that. One on Poltergeist, one on The Strangers. So there's some coming out for Hellraiser and the Terminator as well. So he just thought I'd call and recommend Final Girl to you guys if you ever get a chance to do that. And just want to let you know I really appreciate you guys, really appreciate the podcast. It's a great way for me to wind down, but also to just hear that there are still some people out there loving horror movies as much as I do and just enjoying it. So thanks, guys. Love you. Talk to you too.
That was sweet, and that board game sounds really good. And also, I have been fucking dying to go to Halloween Horror Nights for years and years and years, because my dad used to go with my stepmom and be like, "We're going, fuck you guys, you're not coming." And I used to get so mad, but I actually have been looking into planning a trip, but it's so expensive. It's so expensive. But it's Universal, and Universal makes horror movies, and so those haunted houses must be the most unreal thing to see ever, because it's the same effects they use in movies. So I would fucking love to go. We'll see how
I don't know if
happens.
it was this listener or if there was a listener in the past, but I know that early on, like in the first year or two of the podcast, there was a listener that worked at Universal doing makeup for.
That's so cool.
I think I remember listening to someone calling about that.
Yeah. And they sent in pictures, and it was really cool.
Another plug for how cool Utah is. They have some great haunted houses, and I went to one when I was like 17, where they could like pick you up and like move you and like touch you and stuff. And that was maybe the scaredest I've ever been in my entire life. I was so unbelievably terrified, and they were like pulling out chainsaws and strapping me to gurneys and bringing me to rooms and stuffing me in boxes.
What?
That was a crazy place. I think it was called Asylum 49.
That
I don't know if they still do it that way, but that was crazy.
I would never go to one where they can touch you because there are ones around here where you can sign waivers and they'll touch you. No thanks.
I also went with like 4 of my friends from high school, and they made us go. They split us up in line and made us go one at a time.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
More friends, Max is mentioning. More friends that you have.
Yeah, see,
guys,
one of the reasons why we were playing
liar.
games is that Max is like giving us a sad sob story about how we're his only friends and he just wants to spend time with us. And then we
all true
come on Discord and he's like, "Hey guys, I actually double booked my friendship. I told this other group of friends that
I need to go play
were
Apex
unbeknownst to you.
Legends with them.
I'm going to play Apex Legends, which is my favorite game. So, bye." So every time Max says that he did spend time with friends, we're going to call him a dirty liar.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Because he told us we were his only friends.
You guys are my only friends. Let me explain. Any friends from high school are dead to me. My online friends that I play Apex Legends with are... My Apex Legends friends are literally my cousins. And the person I went to the movie with is an old coworker.
Okay, fine. Whatever.
You guys are my only friends.
I consider my
Except for
cousins
these other
my
people
friends.
in my life.
I know I'm related to them, but I still consider them my friends. I hung out with my cousin last night.
Also, I'm obsessed with Apex. So, like, anytime I get an opportunity to play Apex, I'm pouncing on it.
Well, we got to play games anyways because by the time Max got back on, me and Bryce were still talking. So we did play games until 1 a.m. for me, which was very late. I didn't go to bed till 3 that night.
Okay, well, I got to edit this episode. We got like 7 more voicemails, but I'm going to skip over them for now. Maybe we'll do a voicemail only.
Are you kidding me?
Episode.
We can get to 2 hours.
Editing that will be miserable.
It's already a nightmare.
It's really long.
All right. Sorry, guys. I wanted to give you more content, but just remember that Bryce and Sydney, my friends.
We will play the other voicemails later. I don't.
It's long.
Play one more.
All right, I'll play one more.
Hey, y'all. It's Michael from Central Virginia.
Michael!
Just getting caught up, or trying to get caught up on some of these new episodes. Sydney, congratulations on getting out of what sounds like not a great relationship. Hashtag low T beta cucks. That dude didn't sound great. Or great for you, not to tell you what you need.
Thank you.
I think it sounds like you're a lot happier with the new guy. Although, I'm not a feet person, but I'm going to have to be Team CJ because dude put it out there, and that was pretty impressive.
It was.
In my opinion.
It was. I agree.
So, yeah, if anything does happen, like Bryce said, not to wish bad upon your relationships, but would love to see what CJ has to offer. And also, I feel like there was something else. Dang it. Now I forgot what it was.
So mesmerized by my feet.
Yeah. I hope you all are doing well. It's like 95 degrees here, so hopefully the fans in the truck are drowning me out. Yeah. Hope you all have a great week, and looking forward to the next episode. Talk to you soon.
I totally agree. CJ really did do what he needed to do, and it was really courageous and amazing. And Bryce, don't say anything. That's
no,
how we're
I'm
gonna
also
end it.
glad that you've, dumped your old boyfriend for a much better boyfriend, and we're glad that you're happy. And unfortunately for CJ, like, it's just not the right timing. I wish you the best of luck in your current relationship.
Thank you.
All right, let's end this episode.
I'm fucking done.
If you want to call 254 and see you on the next one.
682-253-4468. I'm gonna know it by heart. Bye.
Good day, sir. Good day, sir.
You lose.
Is that a raincoat? Yes, it is.
stroll through the scraggly woods.
He had no face!
Horror!
Wow, that didn't sound good.
See what happens when you find a stranger in the Alps?